Funny about that. You know who was asking about you the other day? Who's that? Nobody.
We talking about sports, get ball.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
What it do, you number one podcast listeners? We are back with a brand new episode of the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. I'm your host, Premal and Vish, and this episode, I am joined by my big bro, Vish. Vish, welcome back.
Yo, what up, what up, what up?
Yeah, we got a lot to catch up on after a couple weeks. So without further ado, you number one podcast listeners, let's get it rolling with FM or Nah. And first up on FM or Nah, Vish, NBA All-Star Weekend. So, FM or Nah, is it too far gone like the NFL Pro Bowl? Now, before I get your answer, couple context things. NBA All-Star.
I don't even think it needed any context, but we'll let you go ahead. We'll let the listeners listen in.
Yeah, in case you number one podcast listeners skipped it, which it seems like, spoiler alert, a lot of people did. All-Star Saturday was boring, and it was pretty much saved by Mac McClung's third straight slam dunk title. The new NBA All-Star Game format featured 4 teams. There were 3 All-Star rosters and 1 Rising Star team. They were captained by 4 NBA and WNBA legends. There were a lot of intermissions by Kevin Hart and then 1 halftime thing by Mr. Beast. I read this. The program on NBA All-Star Sunday, so the game, ran for 3 hours, but there was only about 30 minutes of actual basketball.
So congratulations.
Wow.
You played yourself.
The response was overly negative. That's why I didn't just do a FM or Nah. I didn't, obviously, we all weren't fans of it. But it was a largely negative response from current players, analysts, and fans. So much so that viewership was down 13%. They had just 4.718 million viewers this year versus 5.398 last year. All time, it is the second least watched All-Star game in history, second to only 2023, who had 4.6 million viewers. Worth noting, though, regarding viewership, they did have a lot of competition. That the Daytona 500 apparently ran late due to weather, so what would have not been a competition did end up being competition, and the SNL 50th anniversary special, which I think you and I both chose over the NBA All-Star game. All that context, Vish, FM or Nah, is it too far gone a la NFL Pro Bowl, or can it still be saved?
You know, it's really hard to zag here, and I'm not even going to try. It's all right. They just need to get rid of this. So I guess fam, that it's too far gone like the NFL Pro Bowl was. Yeah. There might be an opportunity to do something with like the in-season tournament, I'm thinking, which is pretty much like the All-Star Saturday, right? The 3-point skills challenge, the dunk contest, all of that with the in-season tournament, and kind of get viewership that way. Yeah. And you can name the All-Stars and just kind of do a general, hey, here we are.
I guess, yeah.
And I think it's going to be really difficult to do anything like what the NHL did with their quote-unquote All-Star game, or the Four Nations Face-Off.
More on that in a little. It's going to be nice teaser.
Nice little segue, a little teaser. There you go. But I think if they brought in some WNBA players, kind of like the Sabrina and Steph 3-point contest last year, I think those are some of the creative things that they can do. It doesn't have to be consistently the same thing every year, but if they switch stuff up, it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm a fam to this as well. I think once you lose it, it's really hard to get it back. And I don't know what the fix is at this point. I'm sure they're going to try the USA versus the world. I think that's probably the angle they're going to take. But I don't know how you save it. And All-Star Saturday, it needs participation from your big players, and it just isn't getting that. So I don't know how you manufacture effort or care in this game if people already don't. So that's what I'm concerned about. it stinks to see because I grew up loving this game. It was a staple that this weekend was big. I used to love watching it. Now, some of the critiques, like you mentioned, the in-season tournament, this All-Star weekend falls like 2/3 of the way through the season, so maybe moving it truly halfway through would be a better way to handle things. But all that, it just seems like it's grasping at straws because you have like a G League player saving you from All-Star Saturday, and you know, a little bit more on that, and you played yourself, so I won't steal the headline too much, but it seems like we're in agreement. Yeah, fam, a little too far gone.
Well, Bill Simmons also had a unique idea. He basically just said there should be 2 versions of the All-Stars, especially if it's late in the season. All playoff teams made up of All-Stars, and home court advantage is on the line. Yeah. So you don't have the random players who are like, okay, we're not going to make the playoffs, we don't care.
Yeah.
But for you to actually participate in the All-Star game and actually have not just money on the line, but something to or bragging rights, it's actually something where there could be a competitive advantage to have Game 7 or multiple home games in it. So he had a whole drawn out process, but that was the too long didn't read or didn't listen version.
Apparently, I think the NBA is already considering alternatives to this format because I'm sure they heard it loud and clear that it was not a success, and the viewers didn't lie. Speaking of being an all-star and actually showing effort, let's talk Magic Mind, #1 podcast listeners. I'm getting good at this, you know. I recently had dinner with friends, and they talked about how much coffee and espresso they drink each day, how much they need each day. Enter the fine folks at Magic Mind. You already know how I feel about them, but #1 podcast listeners, I've talked about this before. With my health becoming a priority, thanks to genetic history, and even more so, maximizing my physical and mental health for my wife and kids. So I'm here longer, here for my family longer, my friends longer. You know, I use that opportunity to talk about my health and use that segue about all the caffeine they were drinking as a little in-person plug for Magic Mind this past weekend. But I think I use it more so from the fact of the proof is in me using it myself, recommending it to family and friends. I just telling you, #1 podcast listeners, I told friends at dinner because they were talking about the caffeine that they consume. And I've mentioned it before in past episodes, but that's the exact perfect in to start yourself on Magic Mind. If you find yourself going for cup 2, cup 3, cup 4 of your caffeine, supplement one of those with Magic Mind. Maybe you need less of it. It gives you the focus, and more importantly, gives you that without the jitters on the way up and the intense caffeine withdrawal / come down afterwards. Magic Mind's made of all clean, scientifically backed ingredients, so you can supplement your caffeine with it. It doesn't need to replace it, but it provides that focus you need without the negative impacts that having your second, third, or fourth cup might do to you later in the day or midday, as we usually come across. The Magic Mind's flexible. You can take it in the morning with your caffeine. You can use it as a pick-me-up midday when your productivity's kind of waning from the post-lunch or the come down from all the caffeine jitters, if you are anything like the friends I talk to. So use this as an opportunity to get yourself Magic Mind. And you know, I wouldn't recommend it without taking care of y'all, #1 podcast listeners. So, you know the drill. You can get 20% off a one-time purchase or 48% off subscriptions by going to magicmind.com/prem. That's magicmind.com/PREM. When prompted, enter the code PREM20. That's PREM, the number 2, the number 0. If I were you, I'd get the subscription. It's the better value. It ships free to your doorstep every month, so you can stash your new pack in the fridge like I do. I take one on the go in the morning, and it keeps me focused throughout the day. There is nothing to lose. Magic Mind has a money-back guarantee and easy cancellation if you change your mind, though I don't think you will. So go get that Magic Mind, magicmind.com/prem, enter the code PREM20, and you already know, #1 podcast listeners, I don't think you'll change your mind. And speaking of changing your mind. You know why you come here. Let's hit that clip.
But hey, as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
You already know we're the number one source for hockey news here. Number one podcast listeners, don't ever play yourself. This is what we do here. So, Vish, the Four Nations face-off. Again, similar to how I'm not going to ask the obvious question, because for as bad as NBA All-Star Weekend was, Four Nations face-off was wildly successful. So it'd be an obvious yeah fam to the format itself. But, yeah fam or nah, is this format sustainable? And is it here to stay? I ask that because did it grab the attention because of what's going on in the world, and because it is brand new? Does it have a chance to be sustainable moving forward? Obviously, the Olympics are next year, and NHL players can play in that. So they'll have a little bit more of that again next year, but beyond that is what I mean. Like I did before, a little background. The Four Nations face-off, I don't think any of you number one podcast listeners didn't hear about this, but it had the USA, Canada, Sweden, and Finland, and it took place instead of the NHL's All-Star Weekend. Instead, they took about a week to do a round-robin tournament between these four nations, featuring NHL players representing each of them. Obviously, we know by now, but Canada beat the United States in overtime in the final 3-2. It was an absolutely electric tournament that drew a lot of eyeballs, so much so that the 16.1 million viewers in North America made it the second most watched hockey game in the past decade, behind Game 7 of last year's Stanley Cup, where the Florida Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers 2-1. That game drew 16.3 million, so just 0.2 million short of the most watched hockey game in the last decade. Vish, I know the number one podcast listeners look to me for the hockey news, but I wanted to turn this over to you to get your perspective, because you do watch a ton of hockey, so you're our resident expert. Hit me, FM or not, and then however you want to go from there.
It's definitely a yeah fam. For those that were rooting for the USA, that's why we called it an exhibition game, and it wasn't the real thing. So that's all it was. It didn't really count for the real thing. Yeah fam, this hasn't solidified as coming back, but I think it's going to be something that the commissioner, or even the owners and the players, are going to want to have coming back here in the future. It came at the perfect time too. It was truly a dead period in sports, right? Yeah. You didn't have to compete with the NFL or the college football playoff.
Great point.
We just talked about the NBA All-Star game, and so it came at the perfect time. And for it to be, hey, we're getting rid of the All-Star game because this 3-on-3 fast-paced thing that the NHL went to the last few years, it kind of worked, but there weren't too many viewers. It was just for fun. Yeah. This also helps bring NHL players back to the Olympics, which is what they've been clamoring for. Yeah. You kind of already mentioned it. It was USA, Canada, Sweden, and Finland. One that's missing is Russia. Yeah. I'm sure for obvious reasons, political reasons, they weren't included. But I think there's ways where the Olympics really start to create that. The World Cup of hockey, same thing. So for you die-hard Prem Brulee hockey listeners, this is perfect. And I know a lot of you listeners are Blue Jackets fans. Zach Werenski continued just being on fire, knocking on wood, just dominating in the Four Nations playoff when stakes were high. So
he was so close to winning that for him too in overtime.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of fun, especially when you can root for your hometown player, and for USA as well.
Yeah,
so,
he was leading.
What did you think? I mean, you watch hockey, but kind of casually. And I saw you tuned in.
I was all in. It was edge of your seat. You could tell the pride the players took in playing in that tournament. You said it's an exhibition, but it did not feel like it. And clearly, the eyeballs don't lie. People tuned in because they saw it. I mean, that first USA-Canada matchup in the round-robin part of the tournament. The 3 fights in, 11 seconds? I mean, that was electric's the word for it. So I'm all in for it. I do think it'll continue to be sustainable because especially people in the United States who represented 9.3 of those 16.1 million viewers. Crazy. They love to see a good product, and USA Hockey really did fantastic, and led by our guy, Zach Werenski. Yeah. I mean, the leading point scorer in that tournament, so you love to see it. Go Jackets, go hockey. You already know.
But hey, as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
Podcast listeners, number one place for hockey, we got you covered. Okay. You already know what time it is. Let's hit that intro for You Played Yourself.
I'm petty as hell.
And
I'm super petty.
here we
Petty Le Pew.
go.
Okay, you number one podcast listeners. It's time for You Played Yourself. We know why you tune in, other than the number one source for hockey news. But I got a quick You Played Yourself to kick things off. This is the place for it to appreciate this one. But this was from @SixersGeo on Twitter, or X. This was back on February 7th. But I don't think it's changed that much. This is an insane stat for Sixers fans. Since joining the Sixers, Paul George has uploaded more podcast clips to YouTube, 228, than field goals made, 191. Yes, this is a real statistic that someone, clearly a Sixers account, actually did the research on. Listen, number one podcast listeners, you already know we're Team Podcast, but this is brutal for Sixers fans. And now Joel Embiid is looking like he's hurt. They're seeking other opinions on his knee, so the hits keep coming for the Sixers, and I don't mean podcast hits. So anyway, staying in the NBA, I did unfortunately have to add this one in. We're a pro LeBron podcast here, but we have to do it. You Played Yourself goes to LeBron James. We teased it earlier, but this year, one of the big stories amongst many for the failure of the All-Star game was the late scratch by the GOAT, LeBron James, to the All-Star game. Just an awful look. He did it the day of the game. Clearly could have done it any time sooner and took a spot away from someone who probably could have made their first All-Star game, like Norman Powell, someone like that. And then this new format was 3 NBA All-Star rosters of just 8 players. So that's not a lot for a rotation. I know they didn't play a lot, but it left that one team that ended up winning, by the way, if anybody cares, probably not, with 7 players. I've talked about this before, number one podcast listeners. I still maintain that his non-participation in the dunk contest in his storied career made it okay for other stars not to, and hence why the NBA was depending on a G League player in Mac McClung to save its NBA All-Star Saturday. I think it set off that trend for the best dunkers, the best athletes, the best players in the NBA to not compete in the dunk contest. And unfortunately, it is a very minor blemish in LeBron's storied career, but bad luck. You played yourself to LeBron for the late scratch. The dunk contest talk is a nice segue into the next You Played Yourself, and that goes to Ja Morant.
Who?
Mostly Ja Morant, but also Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine tweeting that they might have to join the dunk contest after Mac McClung's 3rd title. First of all, yeah, right. Well, we've heard this before. But where was this energy before? All the talk of NBA All-Star fading out. Why does it take something that's never been done for especially Ja Morant to participate?
Well, I think it's going to be like the only time he'd be able to participate in the All-Star game.
Petty alert.
And here, if you want to, we'll play clips as Chinese New Year.
Brat, 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 brat.
There's the. So let's first let him see if he can just play in some back-to-back games.
Look, I stay petty, so I
looked it up really quickly for you guys. This year, he's played in 35 games of the 57 total games. The Grizzlies are doing fine, but for him, he doesn't look as explosive if you actually watch him in the NBA games. So maybe he still has it, but I think that's what this league unfortunately is becoming. Like we'll do this, and then come a year later, nothing happens. And I think, again, not to go back to LeBron, but I think it was back in 2009, All-Star Slam Dunk Contest was still pretty much in his peak, and he's like, yeah, I'll be back next year, and we still haven't seen it. So it sucks. I think LeBron would be fun and kind of bring eyes, and probably not at 40 years old than 15 years ago maybe.
Yeah, it's too late now, I would think. Yeah. Yep. You want to cover this next? You played yourself, Vish?
Yeah. This is kind of one of those end of the era, the walking with your head down, Charlie Brown music. So Alex Bregman, it took a while for him to actually sign a new deal, but he finally signed a big deal. I think it was like 3 years, $120 million with some opt-outs in between. So if he continues to produce, which he may just because of the big monster, it took him away from our beloved Astros and the core team. And I think I saw it somewhere, maybe you share this tweet in our chat, was I think Altuve is the only player left from the 2020 roster. Yep. So everyone else has left and brought in the big money. You had Springer, Correa, now Bregman, and even Kyle Tucker got traded earlier in the year. So it really stinks. I'm hoping that we can retool, retrade. But it sucks to lose him, especially because it was there for us, for the Astros. But what a time, though. 2017, 2022 World Series champs. Buzz, buzz, bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Hit that hose mad.
Amen.
Hose mad. Hose mad.
Amen. End of an era for sure. What a time it had.
There's probably another era that I know we're getting back into football, but there was a big retirement.
Yeah. This one I'm okay with talking about.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Zach Martin is retiring. Zach Martin, legendary offensive guard for the Dallas Cowboys. Yep. I saw this. He earned first or second team All-Pro in every season he played at least 14 games in.
That's insane.
Zach Martin had 7 first-team All-Pros, 2 second-team All-Pros, and then the other 2 were that he played 10 games. So he never missed an entire season. It's just he missed part of it, and that was the only reason he didn't make an All-Pro. The part that you played yourself is the growing list of current and future Dallas Cowboys Hall of Famers that had no playoff success is growing and growing, and that is a very depressing thought. But drafting him in 2014 truly solidified the Cowboys line as one of the best for many years.
Yeah.
And number one podcast listeners, you probably don't remember this, but that 2014 draft, getting him especially was great because it meant that they didn't let Jerry Jones draft Johnny Manziel that year. It was instantly the right move, so much so that Martin ended up as a first-team All-Pro as a rookie, and he finished second in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting as a rookie.
As an offensive lineman, which is insane.
Insane. He was kind of the last piece of the Cowboys. The Cowboys started the process in, I think, 2009, 10, 11, getting Tyron Smith. And Zach Martin was the bookend of that and represented the Cowboys truly getting an offensive line. And that was the first little bit of me being convinced that's the recipe for success in the NFL, and I still feel that way because you're looking at the Super Bowl champs that had arguably the best line in the NFL in the Eagles, And the other team you could argue was the Detroit Lions, who were the number 1 seed and had the best record in the regular season in football. So that's ultimately what I feel is the recipe for success, and Zach Martin is probably the poster child for that. But anyway, yeah, you played yourself to us, I guess. But listen, you can't break me. I'm already broken. So I'm not there yet.
You're great.
Vish, you got any other you played yourselves before we wrap it up?
I know this was something that you tweeted about. Since we're doing team hockey, I think we need to go over kind of what the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah.
I think their top three names were going to be.
Yeah.
I'll let you do the honors, and I'll kind of throw in some.
Yeah. So the Utah Hockey Club, which the Coyotes relocated to Utah, they don't have a name because it happened so close to the season, so they're going by Utah Hockey Club for this inaugural season there. They are down to 3 names in their fan-driven voting of their new identity. So the 3 names are Utah Hockey Club as options, so keeping the temporary name as permanent, Utah Mammoth, and Utah Wasatch, I think is how you say it. I believe it's a mountain range in that area, so that's where they got that name. But the Wasatch name was the replacement because You Played Yourself goes to Yeti Coolers. Now, I'm not above this, Yeti. If you want to sponsor your boy, I'll take it back. But Yeti was one of the top 6 names that fans voted on. But as an SEG executive shared, Yeti Coolers LLC was ultimately unwilling to agree to a coexistence agreement. They confirmed that the Utah club confirmed that they're no longer pursuing Yeti as a potential team name. So that's where the alternative came in, because they couldn't work out a deal with the Coolers. So
Insane.
Yeah. You Played Yourself goes to the team voting. In my estimation, there's one obvious choice, and it's the Mammoth. This angle of going with like hockey club or football team or all these generic ass names has to stop. You old people have to stop interjecting these boring ass names and forcing it upon us. Please do the right thing in Utah and vote for Mammoth. And a real quick tidbit. One of my friends, number 1 podcast listener, Finoli, our guy, he did go to see his Jackets play in Utah, and that was one of the 4 games where they did in-person voting, and I did confirm that they did not check what gear he was wearing, and he did vote for Mammoth, so shout out him.
Very nice. Shout out Finoli.
Yeah.
So you had one, You Played Yourself to the Utah Hockey Club. Then you had another layer on top of that to Yeti Coolers.
Yes.
Now I'm going to add a third layer to kind of borrow from another Houston legend, Vernon Maxwell. So if you don't know him, look him up. He hates Utah, always bashes them. So I am going to channel my inner Vernon Maxwell.
All right.
And a big You Played Yourself to the city of Utah. I would actually take Utah Hockey Club, ready, instead of any of the other professional or teams that are in Utah.
Yeah.
There's the Utah Jazz, because Utah is the jazz capital of the world, right? Even the college team is the Utah Utes. Okay?
Yep.
So, in the grand scheme of things, Utah Hockey Club is a pretty good option compared to the other ones.
Not a bad argument.
So, there you go.
There you go. All right, number 1 podcast listeners, let's move on to Am I Hatin'? Keep in mind, we're still waiting on a great soundbite for this. If you have any suggestions, number 1 podcast listeners, hit us up. Also, if you want to be featured on Am I Hatin', if you have an idea for us, please hit us up on social media. You know how to get a hold of me. We'll feature you on Am I Hatin', and we're happy to, because we know you guys have things out there that you're clearly hating on, but this is a safe space. Okay, my Am I Hatin' for this episode is one-uppers. We all know one in our lives, but them having something to add to everything. Every conversation does not have to be about you. someone can tell you a story without you interjecting what it means to you or how your life experiences connect to it. So I don't think I'm Hatin. I feel like a lot of people know someone like this, whether it's at work, personal lives, or whatever. But if you're a one-upper, just ask yourself, is this really adding anything to the conversation by you saying something you think is related but is more just self-serving? Vish, you got any?
Yeah, so to one-up you on that one-upper thing, we all like to interject in stories and like to say we're listening, and sometimes you play things back, and we all do a good chance of one-uppers, but I really love that. The one thing that I want to add on top of what you already said, 100% agree. We all do it. We're all a victim to it, but there are certain people that just are ruthless in it. Are you sure you want to do it that way?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you mean?
Yeah.
Do I want to?
Or here's how I did it when I had the same situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The one part that I wanted to add for Am I Hatin' is we got to stop using the word chai tea. Chai tea latte, iced chai tea. I don't know if this has been on it could be immediate retirement. It could be on you played, whatever it might be. But we're of Indian descent. Yeah. But really, it's either chai or tea. It's not both. So
yeah, same concept as saying non-bread. Don't ever play yourself and do that, please.
That's just not bread.
Don't ever do it.
That's another good one.
Yeah. Okay, number one podcast listeners, it is time for Who You Got and What You Feeling. So I wanted to recap a couple ones from past episodes because you're here and we didn't talk about this actually yet, but you and I, last time we were on, talked Super Bowl and who we thought would win the Super Bowl. So I did want to come back to that. You took a big leap and went Bills over Commanders.
It's just the exact opposite.
Opposite of what happened. I took the obvious pick, Chiefs over Eagles. I was also wrong. Now, Roche and I did another episode after the Luka trade and talked a little bit more about it, but Roche was saying either the Eagles win or we all lose, but he thought the Chiefs were going to win. I also kept my pick with the Chiefs over the Eagles, but who cares? Go Team Snacks. Go Kendrick Lamar halftime show. Neither one disappointed.
Yep.
The result was the Eagles won big over the Chiefs. They won so big that we didn't even add it to yeah, firm or not. That's how big they won. They won 40-22. The MVP was Jalen Hurts. The Eagles defense, this was my favorite tidbit. They blitzed Patrick Mahomes 0 times. Mahomes is the 6th quarterback in Super Bowl history to not be blitzed a single time. And every single one of those quarterbacks that did not get blitzed all lost.
Insane.
It was total domination, and that's why even though the Chiefs' defense pretty much shut down Saquon Barkley, the score would not tell you that. I truly didn't see a blowout coming in general, much less a blowout by the Eagles, and they looked far and away the better team.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. Also, Roche and I did a couple Super Bowl prop bets centered around halftime show. A couple fun ones. The Kendrick Lamar songs performed. The over-under was at 10.5, and they know what they're doing. Roche and I both thought it would be over, and it actually was under because Kendrick Lamar did 10 songs. So under by a half. We also talked what we thought the first song would be, and Kendrick probably made Vegas a lot of money on that one because he picked basically like a intro to his newest album. It was like a snippet, a teaser. Roche was close though. He predicted it'd be Squabble Up, and that ended up being Kendrick's first real song, or the one after that teaser that he first did. And then lastly, we talked about if there would be any other special guests besides the announced SZA. He got us on that one too. He did not have any other musical artists besides the one he had announced in SZA. He did feature Samuel L. Jackson as his Uncle Sam as the narrator, and Serena Williams crip walking in the middle of Not Like Us, which was an iconic moment also. So, Anyway, this episode, obviously it's a downtime in sports, but the Underwear Olympics is coming. The NFL Combine starts soon, which means NFL draft season is upon us. Number one podcast listeners, you already know we'll have you covered for draft preview. That's planning's already in the works with my guy Thomas. So get your questions prepared in advance. I'm just warning you. But we're hoping to have another great one. Those are always a big hit. So I'm looking forward to doing that and getting into draft season. But anyway, the combine starts soon, which kicks it off. Vish, I wanted to know if you're looking forward to anything at all, or are you out on the Underwear Olympics? I'll go first, and then I'll get your take.
Yeah.
I am mostly looking forward to the 15 Ohio State Buckeyes invited. That's the most of any program. But I do think it's largely ridiculous because a lot of people don't seem to actually compete in the combine, and you hear a lot from players that it's not truly necessary. It's more about the interviews they do with teams at the combine. There aren't many quarterbacks throwing. That happens every year. The number one running back in the draft, Ashton Genty, is not doing any drills at the combine. So it's like it kind of loses its luster. It is nice for players that are maybe down the list. They can work their way higher, but I'll still tune in and follow the numbers and stuff. It's fun to have something football related. What about you?
Yeah, you hit it on all fronts. I mean, it's cool just to see some of the drills and see some players that are kind of the top of the top that might not be the flashy names at the flashy positions like the Genties or even the I think Cam Ward or Shador Sanders are not even going to be doing too many drills either. But just being able to see some of those drills, see how it comes back, and then I always love the retrospect stuff like, oh yeah, CJ Stroud's Wonderlic was really bad, so that's why we stay away from him and shit like that. So those are always fun. Got to get my questions prepared for Thomas though.
Yes, sir. So number one podcast listeners, I know we talked a little bit about the top two quarterbacks, Shador Sanders and Cam Ward, whether they're throwing or not. I think Cam Ward, the jury's still out on him, but Shador is not. Okay. He's only doing the pro day. But there are three quarterbacks, pretty big names that are throwing. Ole Miss QB Jackson Dart is going to be throwing at the combine. Alabama's Jalen Milroe, and Notre Dame's quarterback Riley Leonard, national championship runner-up, will all throw, and that's according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. So Shador Sanders is saving it for the pro day. He had a good answer. He said he wanted to feature the Colorado receivers, so kind of dig that answer if you're not going to do it, but we'll see how it all shakes out. But looking forward to the questions. Get those ready, number one podcast listeners. And as for what I'm feeling, Vish, I hinted at it earlier. We both talked about it, but definitely SNL 50.
It was fun.
It was
a lot of fun.
It was a really fun watch. It was a nice combination of things and some huge names, and I think they did a great job. They have so many people to feature, and they did a fantastic job with it. It was cool to see, and I loved watching like the documentaries leading up to that week and stuff on Peacock. So it was fun to see. As I've gotten older, I really enjoy that show a lot more. I think probably I get more of the jokes.
Even the music on Friday.
Yeah.
When they had that like concert.
Yeah.
The big concert series, they did a good job just to make sure that they featured some of the parody songs and Lady Gaga, working with
Andy Samberg,
Andy Samberg and the Lonely Islands, and Will Ferrell kind of doing the Not Like Us.
Oh, with Anna Gasteyer, yeah, that's right.
Yep, that was so
very.
It was
very
good. And then
fun.
Post Malone did a great cover for Nirvana,
he was
with Nirvana's
Nirvana,
OG members. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was cool. It's cool to see so many people have a reverence for that place. But I did want to especially use what I'm feeling because I just passed 5 years of doing this podcast, the number one podcast in your headphones, Creme Brulee.
Let's go.
Yeah. I didn't realize it had been 5 years. I have so much fun doing it, but I just wanted to take this opportunity. I know I say it at the end of every episode, but I'm truly thankful for you, number one podcast listeners, and for people like you, Vish, and all my co-hosts that help me, encourage me to record and give me ideas for content, the whole 9 yards, and are excited to do so. It makes it so much fun for me that people enjoy it. And I can't tell you how much it means to me that people care what I have to say when it goes with sports, or maybe you love laughing at me, with me, whatever it is. But I truly appreciate it. I've enjoyed every bit of it. The editing takes a long time, but it's for you, number one podcast listeners. So I power through it, but I can't believe it's been 5 years. It feels not that long and longer at the same time, but I just want to say that's what I'm feeling, and I'm appreciative of you, number one podcast listeners, for making it possible. All the people I've worked with, from having merch, like the 2 iterations of hats, which I'm probably due for something new and special. Feel like we're overdue for that. From people like that, to the sponsors, to especially my co-hosts, like I already said, and most of all you number one podcast listeners. So 5 years of this, and I'm still enjoying it. So more to come, more petty alerts, more hot takes, more spiciness. We're not going anywhere, but just wanted to take the opportunity to tell you thank you for the 5 years so far.
Yeah, for sure. Can't believe when you started this, you were still in your 20s.
Crazy. That's weird to think
Isn't
about.
that crazy? I think it's a huge testament to you and your commitment to making people laugh a lot along with you, sharing your misery, especially with the Cowboys, but also be here for your highs, with the Astros winning in 2022, and the 5 Bhatt cousins and all of us, all brothers, were on here, which was probably one hell of an editing thing, to even more recently, the Buckeyes winning the national championship. So being able to share and understand, and you just have a great way of storytelling. So huge shout out to you and inviting people in your lives.
Yeah, thank you. More to come, and I know some of the non-sports episodes have been hits, so I'm trying to brainstorm how to incorporate those some more too for the number one podcast listeners that might not be as sports interested or inclined. So thank you. Thanks for saying that, and appreciate you, Vish, for co-hosting on here. It's fun. It's fun getting to do with people you love. So
yeah, 100%. Love you, man.
Love you. On that note, let's wrap up this episode with Too Much Sense. Number one podcast listeners, let's hit it. Okay, this episode's Too Much Sense is about closure. If you're looking for some closure, usually it happens in terms of relationships, friendships, maybe it's family, maybe it's a significant other. But I just wanted to issue this reminder that the lack of respect can be the closure. The lack of apology can also be closure. The lack of care, accountability, and honesty, it's all forms of closure. I think we look for this perfectly buttoned up closure scenario that ends in a way that you're satisfied, but it can hang us up from moving forward because we're hoping for something that's an idealistic scenario that's probably not realistic. Closure can be protecting your peace by accepting the bad treatment you might have got. You don't need an aha or told you so or explanation even. I think the actions can speak for that closure, and you probably don't need that extra little bit that you're looking for in an ideal world, because it probably isn't going to come, and it's going to prevent you from moving forward. So that's my Too Much Sense for this number one podcast listeners. Speaking of closure, this episode is coming to one, but I do want to remind you, do not forget about that Magic Mind. magicmind.com/prem. Enter the code PREM20 to get up to 48% off your order. Don't play yourself. Hop on that Magic Mind. And you already know, number one podcast listeners, I already issued you a love letter after celebrating 5 years, but you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share this episode, tell a friend to tell a friend, and I sincerely appreciate all the support, you number one podcast. This has been a brand new episode of the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. I've been your host, Premal Bhatt. That's been my co-host, Vish Bhatt. Thanks for joining me, big bro.
Absolutely.
And you number one podcast listeners, we'll talk to you next time.
Peace.